There's a big difference between a teenage prank and something much worse. Rob, they found the gun used in this crime, and they also spoke with several people who identified these 4 suspects as the ones being guilty. But these men also left a trail for police to follow. And this is that trail. Take a look. These are the compiled police arrest records for all of these 4 men. Again, just 4 men, but look at this. Just before 3 o'clock, as you had mentioned, a woman was working here in her backyard. When she turned and she heard a noise and saw this single-engine Beechcraft plane just clearing the power lines in front of her house. Again, she was standing about this area where I am now, and she watched as it came in towards her, and she knew she had a last-second decision to make. The biggest difference here will be that things won't be exactly as they appear. That's because we're not talking about the amount of snow that's falling, but the wind that will be blowing it around. And if this is going to be the view through your windshield and you're driving, you're bound to be in for trouble. But this is, like you said, something that Pennsylvania drivers actually don't need to take personally. They're not blaming us for this study. In fact, they're placing the blame squarely on the shoulders of the people who work in that giant domed building right over there. This is a firefighter who's actually having his removed because he's been in and battling the blaze, and looking down to the right now, these are the expend air tanks. I see maybe 24 of these things. That speaks to the number of people who have been here. But over here, I want to show you, this is what they are battling over my shoulder down this street about 100 yards on East King Street. This fire continues to burn. The brothers' weapon of choice, a .22 caliber rifle. This is what its ammunition looks like. As a hunting cartridge, it's used primarily for small game on things like squirrels. But the Zimmerman brothers used this to kill dogs, and not just 1 or 2, but 80 dogs. This is what 80 .22 caliber shells looks like. And remember, all of this was because they didn't want to get vet checks for 39 dogs. To put this into perspective, Greg is one of about 2,600 students at Cumberland Valley High School. There are about 2,600 centimeters in this streamer. That means out of all that, this is Greg.
Route 11, just outside Carlisle. The perfect place to spot big rigs for a story on engine idling this hot June day. Called the Miracle Mile, with new meaning. A miracle no one was killed.
I saw him coming across, and I realized that he wasn't slowing down, that the vehicle in front of me was going to be hit.
I seen the collision because it was in the center lane.
Immediately, witnesses spring into action.
I ran over toward the car, and others did too.
I said, call the ambulance. I ran into the Waffle House and demand some towels now because we had to stop the blood on the lady's arm.
In the black SUV, 3 small children and a woman driver.
The lady over there in the SUV, she said, I don't know what happened. She said, I have no clue.
Good Samaritans at the other car noticed smoke and doused the engine block with fire extinguishers. Just in time for the pros to arrive.
They're going to have an extended ETA here on the extrication. We're just going to transport the crew.
While rescue crews work furiously
Pretty bad.
to free a trapped driver, the first responders watch, wait, and reflect.
Time, you know, as the minutes count down, we have no time to waste, so we had to do something fast.
In this case, we had people on the golf course that came to render aid until the fire department arrived on the scene, and that's great.
But the fire chief has a word of caution.
The first thing that anyone approaching an accident scene has to remember is safety.
A Miracle Mile miracle. Strangers helping strangers. A story that could have been much worse. In Cumberland County, Ben Russell, CBS 21 News.
I think it was reported originally as a dryer fire, but it took off pretty quick.
It doesn't take long to go from bad to worse when you're fighting fire.
We don't see a lot of problems like this.
This is a 2-story house that's burning to the ground.
It's crazy. I'm just hoping there's nobody in there.
But there are people inside. Firefighters who are losing the battle. When this happens, every second counts.
With this first floor being out and even the second floor, the floor is not the best. We got to be very careful. We don't want our guys falling through the floors. Well, if a floor goes out and the guys go down through it, now we've got a rescue problem.
Fortunately, that was not necessary this night. In spite of all this, everyone made it out okay.
What happened inside of 817 North Union Street is history. Ernest Wolliver, a Middletown husband and father, shot and killed his wife and their 2 daughters on Christmas Eve 2002.
Anyone in Middletown remembers this.
That was then. This is now.
Seized and sold is the property of Ernest R. Wolliver et al.
At an auction Thursday,
Do I hear a bid?
a Middletown man opened a new chapter.
Once, twice, 3 times, sold for $131,601.
I drive past this every day or every other day, and we just need this behind us.
I could have done that.
Herbert Moore decided at 11:30 Wednesday morning to make a bid on the Wolliver home. And this is his first time going inside of it.
It's a great design, so hopefully we can bring it back to its former glory.
Moore owns a company that renovates homes for short-term rentals, business travelers, or people who've lost their own house to fire. And there's a lot he needs to do here.
That's an understatement.
Some neighbors think it isn't worth the trouble.
Every time I look at it,
Well,
because I knew that family, I live here.
Edna Perel would rather see the house torn down.
I said the devil is over here. I'd have that ground blessed if it was me, because I think it's demon-possessed. Now, that's my opinion.
But Herb Moore doesn't see it that way. He wants to start a new story here.
hopefully that's what we have in mind, yes. And that's a pretty good note to leave it on. I think you're right.
In Dauphin County, Ben Russell, CBS 21 News. 2 people killed on Harrisburg's Market Street Bridge.
It was just unrealistic.
A capital city teacher killed on her way home for being honored as one of the best in the district.
The driver had been talking and texting on a cell phone.
A York County cop run over while working a crash scene.
I want to prevent a mom or dad receiving a phone call that their loved one's not coming home.
The drivers in these crashes are accused of distracted driving, using their phones while driving. Just look around and you can see it happen. It's estimated that 6,000 people died last year because of what these people are doing. That's why some lawmakers in Harrisburg are working to ban the practice of texting and talking on your phone while driving.
When you're sending a text message, you could be Carl Lewis. There's no reaction time because you're not even watching the road.
We believe that the only real prevention, the only solution, is pure, total denial of service.
So that's what Joe Brennan and his company Trinity Noble have done. The federal government issued a patent for their technology called Guardian Angel.
Call was lost.
Once it's installed behind a vehicle's dashboard, if you travel over 10 miles per hour, Guardian Angel jams the driver's cell signal. No texting, no talking.
I don't have any bars right now.
But if Trinity Noble sold you their Guardian Angel, they would be breaking federal law with penalties up to $11,000 and imprisonment for 1 year. The year was 1934. America was stuck in the Great Depression. Cars were a luxury. You needed an operator to make a phone call, and radio was king. So Congress passed the Federal Communications Act. Section 333 made it so competing radio stations could not jam each other's signals to boost theirs. 75 years have passed, and Trinity Noble's petitioning the Federal Communications Commission to make an exception to this law.
It's basically an allowance by the FCC to let us implement our technology, make it available to the free market on a voluntary basis so that lives can be saved.
Trinity Noble has support in Harrisburg.
Obviously, in 1933, we weren't where we are technologically. Clearly, this is something for Congress to address. One thing is clear, and that is there's no safe way to send the text messages while you're driving.
But it's in Washington where change must happen. In this letter, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says it will allow the product as long as, once installed, the vehicle satisfies safety requirements. But it's the FCC's rule. Technology has advanced light years under its watch.
However, with this technology comes some side effects. Those side effects being distracted driving. And those fatalities are becoming more and more prevalent.